Welcome back to another episode of the Experts in Fire podcast. I'm your host, Mike Vennard, and with me today is Randy Mowry. Today's episode is gas logs versus gas fireplace inserts. Let's get into it. Hey Randy, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing fantastic, Mike. How's things going over on your end, my friend?
You know what? I am fantastic as well. Well, brother, we are here to talk about, some people might not know what these are. I know everybody knows what gas logs are, but gas fireplace inserts are becoming very hot right now. And we just wanted to go through, and I wanted to have you kind of walk through gas logs in a fireplace, which we've all seen, versus gas fireplace inserts, so people kind of know the difference between them and really know them as an option, because you're gonna hear a lot about them. According to what we're seeing on the sales side and all the folks that we're talking to, our manufacturers, they're pretty hot. So Randy, tell me, what's the difference between gas logs and a gas fireplace insert?
Yeah, well, Mike, I think this is a great conversation, and one reason is the terms get used kind of interchangeably. When they're thinking in their mind, they want the gas logs, but maybe someplace they saw it or they read it or someone said it to them, and when they're calling, they're asking for gas inserts. But what they're really looking for is a set of gas logs. To clarify, the main difference there is gas logs are going to be a gas log set. The burner, the grate, the logs themselves that are going to go into somebody's pre-existing fireplace, okay? A gas insert is going to be essentially a firebox, a metal firebox. It's going to have like a metal surround to it. And that whole assembly is going to fit into somebody's pre-existing fireplace. Okay, and we can dig deeper into that. But two very different appliances.
Yeah, I like the way, and I want everybody who's listening to catch, both of them go into a pre-existing fireplace. And that's important to catch, because we do get phone calls and people who want to get that gas fireplace insert and just stick it into a hole in the wall. No, it has to go in. There's a different box for that, right? There's a zero clearance box for that. An insert, when you hear that, it means it is inserting into an existing fireplace.
Exactly.
I gotcha. Okay. I'm sure people are thinking right now, well, I've heard of a wood burning insert, right? I understand that you can take a fireplace and put a wood burning insert into it. So you have a door on it with glass, and I can see the flame. They're way more efficient. I can get a fan that's going to blow heat into the room and all of that stuff. When it comes to gas logs, which we have gas logs that have beautiful presentation, and then a gas insert, which one is better for certain situations and why?
Yeah, and that's really the question is, that we get. It's like, which one is better? And there are going to be like heating efficiencies as far as which is going to make one, better than another. If heating the space is what you're going for. We'll step back just a moment. So we have already established that we have to have a pre-existing fireplace. Now, this may be a masonry fireplace, or this may be a prefabricated metal style fireplace that is wood burning. But you know what? I'm tired of logging wood in. I'm tired of paying for wood. And I just want to put a log set in it that has like a nice big flame, we'll call it. Okay. Well, in that type of application, Mike, then we're gonna lean somebody towards a set of vented gas logs, because really they don't want to change the face, the aesthetic, we're gonna say, of their fireplace. They just are done with wood. And so, that's where a nice sized, correctly vented gas log set's going to come into play, Mike.
Well, okay. You just started talking about vented.
Yes.
There are a lot of different ways to go, right? So if I'm looking for heat, which one is better?
Ideally, then you're going to go to a ventless log set that doesn't require a vent, because it's 99.9% efficient. They're designed as a heating appliance versus like a decorative appliance.
So I've learned, Randy, and I know you have as well, that when I'm talking with a client, the first thing that I typically ask is, are you looking for heat? Because what they answer there is going to determine where we go, right? if I start with, well, what are you looking for? And they're like, well, we want the best looking log with the best flame. And I start to talk to them about a vented log set. And then they turn around and go, well, no, hold on. We want this to heat the space. They're going to be disappointed. So do you want heat? Do you not want heat is one of the questions that can get answered. You have fire-related questions, and we have answers. You can email us your questions at podcast@woodlanddirect.com or give us a call at 586-221-3638. We would love to be able to answer them right here on the Experts in Fire podcast. So, Randy, we're talking about the vent-free and the vented. We're talking about, which presentation, and really the first question is, do you want heat out of this? But I think the very next most important question is, what kind of pre-existing fireplace do you have?
Correct. Yeah, you're definitely right on track with that because of the two different appliances. So, typically what you're going to have is either, like a full masonry fireplace, brick and mortar clay line chimney, or just like some type of masonry chimney. And then, as we mentioned, then you have your prefabricated metal fireplace that may have metal trim, like a fake brick on the inside of it. The reason that's important, Mike, is even though you burned wood in it, not all of those, dating back, and it's hard to say when, but not all of those prefabricated metal fireplaces are rated to have a ventless log heating appliance into it, because the ventless log, we want folks to understand, is when you do a ventless log, you are actually closing the damper to get all that heat into the space. Where those prefabricated metal fireplaces may not be rated for an unvented / vent-free log. And so that's where we're going to lean on, the homeowners, the contractors to pull the model numbers, get in touch with, or if they have their manual, or search the manual online, because it will specify in there if you can or cannot. And put that in there. Masonry fireplace is different. You can do the vented to have that nice big roaring flame, have that damper in the open position, do something that's going to heat it up and have that damper to close to heat up your space. Either application. It's where you get into the prefabricated is where you really want to stress the importance of the safety part of it.
Yeah, that's the important part when it comes to vent-free. Safety, safety, safety. We talk about it all the time. We've definitely done other episodes where we talked about vented logs versus vent-free logs, because there are considerations if you do have a masonry firebox and you want to go vent-free. You're going to want to have a pro come in and clean that chimney, make sure everything's in a good place before you install those logs, because there are considerations in terms of creosote and the different things that can warm up in your flue that could potentially cause damage down the road. So make sure you utilize pros on these situations for sure, and always have safety in mind. But in terms of the types of firebox, masonry, not a problem. Consult your pro. And then for your prefabricated or metal boxes, try to find that. You hit the nail on the head, Randy. If you can find the model number, you can find a ton of information online for these older boxes to be able to discover if you can use a vent-free log in there. And that certification has to do with how the box is going to radiate heat. I mean, that's really and it's safety driven. So make sure that you keep yourself and your family safe there.
Yeah, and a lot of times, Mike, with those prefabricated boxes, almost all of them should have like some type of what they call like the spark screen or the chain curtain that slides left or right. So a lot of times those model number placards will be riveted just behind that chain, possibly on the left or right vertical sides, or up above on the hood on the inside of the unit on the very top. So, there's just a couple areas for folks to take a look at. Not all of them are going to be in those areas, but it's a good place to start to look anyways.
So, Randy, we're talking about, and this is a good segue to get into, we're talking about prefabricated. I have a wood-burning fireplace, and I want to transition from wood to gas. That kind of fits into the same category of what we're talking about, right?
It does.
So there are considerations to have on a prefabricated box, whether I want to go vented or vent-free. But if it's a wood-burning box already, how does that work?
Now the next one we go to is it would be a gas fireplace insert, like a direct vent insert. Now what we're getting into is we want to maybe change the dynamic of that prefabricated fireplace. Maybe it has like a brass trim on it, or possibly like the black frame that is on it is just all messed up, and folks just want to go to gas, but they want to kind of try to cover that up. Now you have your direct vent gas fireplace inserts. Now what we're getting into, Mike, is a sealed system. It is going to have a solid glass panel on it. The contractor is going to run a vent tube up the existing fireplace chimney itself and insert this fireplace into the prefabricated opening. Now, there's very specific models for this because of the sizing and things like that, because prefabricated notoriously are smaller, like that firebox opening, than your typical masonry fireplace. But they will slide in, and you're going to have what's called a surround, like a three-piece surround that is going to cover the left and right and across the top of said gas fireplace and kind of cover up that old pre-existing metal box that was there, so to speak.
I like the way you're describing it. So it's self-contained, and the frame itself or the surround is decorative. And I've lived in a lot of different houses, and there are some houses where you go, why would you want to do that? You put some gas logs in there and it would look great. But then there have been other houses where I don't know what they did to those fireplaces. It just looked terrible.
Yeah. I would say the fair amount of putting an insert into a pre-existing, like a metal prefab fireplace is one, maybe that fireplace isn't rated to do vent-free. And so they want heat into that room. And so they can't do a ventless log set. Chances are we can find them a direct vent insert that will fit into the firebox, and then they just re-vent up through the chimney itself. And when we say sealed, a direct vent insert is going to have a solid glass panel on it. So it's going to exhaust all the flue gas and pull all of its combustion air from outside and not with inside the house. So there's a lot that can go into that, and kind of like we talked about, we could rabbit trail on that specific installation for quite a while, actually.
Right. Well, here's where I'm intrigued. So you're saying that I could have, and I want to make sure our listeners catch this, I could have a pre-existing firebox that is a metal box that I can't use vent-free logs in, but I can use a direct vent gas insert. Help our listeners understand that one.
Think of it this way. So you're putting a ventless log set. You're putting all of that heat right inside of, it's 99.9% efficient, and all that heat is going right into the firebox in that surrounding area. That, we're going to call it, that chassis may not be able to offload that heat properly. It's not designed to take all of that heat into that small little firebox chamber, because you're closing off the damper at the very top in order to use that said ventless log set. When you go to a direct vent insert, it has its own firebox that surrounds the burner assembly, and on average, that might only be at about 70, we'll say like 70%. We'll just use 70 as a round number efficiency. The heat is radiating off of the glass in the front of it. You are venting it, because you're venting it through a vent pipe that's going to run up through a pre-existing chimney, and then you're pulling fresh air into that firebox through another pipe. So essentially what you have is you have two 3-inch diameter flex lines that are running up said chimney. So we have nowhere near the heat, and I don't have like a heat balloon number to use for anybody on the firebox part of it. But our heat is radiating off of the glass, and there's a blower that's going to blow that heat into said living space itself. So we're not trapping that heat, we're not trapping 99.9% heat into the said firebox opening. It's just, it's a different application, less efficiency, but we're still forcing heat into the living space via the front of the unit versus the firebox.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. With just a vented gas log set, everything's running up the chimney. With a ventless gas log set, you're turning the chimney off, you're closing the chimney off and letting all that heat come into the room. And then if your box is not rated for that, or some people people don't fully feel safe with that. You know, they look at it and go, well, is that clean? And there's been so many studies out there. And even manufacturers who have said, we'll never do vent-free, and they do a lot of vent-free now because the safety standards are in place. But I get it. Some folks just look at it and go, nope, I'm not comfortable with that. A direct vent insert can now go into that box. It does have its own chimney system, we'll call it, or venting system. So some of the heat is going up that vent. But you're trying to gain some of the heat radiating off the glass as well as a blower to push it into the room. So you really have three worlds that you're in here. And I can tell you, similar to the conversations we've had about electrics in the past, the direct vent inserts have gotten way better. I'd say in the last 5 years, wouldn't you say, Randy?
Easily. Yeah, easily. From efficiency to the aesthetics of them. Yeah, everything about them has definitely improved over the last 5 years.
Yeah, they look way better. They used to just kind of have a couple logs in there and flames, and now they've worked hard at really utilizing a lot of the technologies that they've had. And again, a lot of that is consumer driven too. This is one of those spaces that we're looking at going, wow, direct vent inserts are really starting to climb. People are looking at them as an alternative, and manufacturers are trying to catch up, and some have done an excellent job at it, and I'm sure the other ones will get there as well. So excellent opportunity to look at three different options that you have. And again, the question I have, and it still fits, what are you looking for? Do you want heat or do you want aesthetics? Or do you want both? Right? And I feel like that's what you're given.
Exactly. With an insert, you're really kind of achieving both. Is you're changing the aesthetic value of the face of the fireplace, and you're also getting heat. And I feel that that's one of the main reasons why a lot of the direct vent inserts are becoming more and more popular. We're seeing more of them, and better progress as far as the efficiencies and the looks of these units, because we are getting a call to use these more often. We've spent a lot of time talking about the prefabricated fireplace and doing the inserts in, just because of the importance of prefabricated and the safety and the understanding of it, where for years we've been doing these gas inserts in masonry fireplaces all day, every day. And to touch on that, Mike, is it's just, maybe some of the face brick is crumbling, or maybe the firebox floor where they put the grate on is crumbling. They just want to have a professional chimney company come in and clean the chimney and maybe clean the back wall from soot, but they don't want to burn wood. They don't want logs because maybe it's not a technical term. It just looks ugly inside. They don't want to see it. And so they're going to opt for like a direct vent insert. And the same things apply, Mike. You're going to still run the linear flex lines up the chimney. It's going to connect to the insert, and you're going to place the entire thing in there with a surround on the masonry fireplace.
That's a great point, Randy. When it comes to that masonry firebox, here's a question for you. If I were to put gas logs into a crumbling and when I say crumbling, like you said, the floor is deteriorated some, the bricks are deteriorated some inside, maybe in the back of the firebox of a masonry fireplace. If I were to put gas logs in there, what would I have to do? Would I have to bring that whole firebox up to code or standard to be able to burn wood in order to put those logs in there?
Yeah, great call, Mike. Yes, the fireplace, the wood-burning fireplace, when those pros come out and they do the inspection and the cleaning, that fireplace has to be in good functional order and pass inspection to burn wood to transition to gas. You want to think of it this way: if your chimney is interiorly deteriorating and it doesn't pass inspection because of wood smoke can penetrate that clay and somehow maybe get into the attic or something of that nature, the same thing's going to happen with gas. If you're doing a gas appliance in that fireplace, that gas versus smoke is you're just going to have gas transitioning and passing through those same cracks. So yes, it does have to be a past inspection and be in good, proper working order as if it's going to burn wood to transition to a gas log set. Where when we go to a direct vent insert, as we spoke about previously, it is a sealed system. Those two vent pipes are sealed top to bottom. You're passing gas through one vent pipe, pulling fresh air through another. So we're basically just using the chimney, the masonry chimney, as a vessel to have those vent pipes pass through.
That is a key key piece of information there, folks. That Randy, thank you for explaining that, because that takes a lot of labor, a lot of thought out of the process to go, I have to get this thing all the way up to par, and instead I can just insert this piece. And of course, guys, you always want to have your pro come out and sweep the chimney, make sure there are no major issues, structural issues with your chimney. You don't want it to blow over or fall over.
Right, yes.
But then to be able to just run those two pipes, those 2 3-inch pipes up and out so that you have a functioning fireplace, it's an option, man. And it's something that folks are going to want to know about. So that's a good tidbit, Randy. Thank you so much for that. Is there anything else that you wanted to point out between the differences here between a gas insert or gas log set?
No, I don't think so. When it comes to the two, obviously you'll have different ways to operate the logs, and that can all be gone over, in a conversation, depending on what type of appliance somebody's looking to do with there. But other than that, I think that's it, my friend.
Awesome. Well, Randy, as always, thank you, sir, for spending time with us. I know you could be on the phones chatting with people, but you're chatting with a whole bunch of people all at one time.
That's right. It's right. And just always remember, folks, safety, safety, safety.
Always safety. Thank you, Randy. I appreciate you, brother. You have a great day. And to our listeners, if you want to get a hold of us and say, hey, you guys are right or you guys are wrong, or hey, let's have a conversation, reach out. We give you multiple ways that you can reach out, and we'd love to talk with you. Randy's called multiple folks just offline outside of the podcast to have conversations with them. So we love hearing from you. And as always, have an awesome day.